I used to think the scariest thing in the world was realizing someone was watching you. I was wrong. The scariest thing is realizing you've been reading his diary for 6 months, and every single entry is about you, written in your handwriting. My name doesn't matter. Not by the end of this anyway. It started with a gift. A small leather journal wrapped in brown paper left outside my apartment door with no note. I assumed it was from my sister. She was always leaving me things like that, a little just because presents. I texted her a photo. She didn't reply for 3 hours. "That's not from me," she finally wrote, "but it's pretty. Keep it. Someone likes you." I laughed it off. I even started using it as a regular notebook. Grocery lists, half-finished poems, the usual clutter of a lonely mind. I didn't think about who might have left it. Not yet. 2 weeks later, I opened the journal to write something down and found a page I didn't remember writing. It was in my handwriting. My exact handwriting. The way I loop my G's. The way my T's slant right when I'm tired. It said, "She wore the blue coat again today. She always wears blue when she's sad. I wonder if she knows I can tell." I hadn't worn my blue coat in over a year. It was in a box in my closet. I checked that night. The box had been opened. The coat was gone. I told myself I was sleepwalking. Sleep writing. People do stranger things in their sleep. I'd read about it once. Some article about a woman who cooked full meals in the night and never remembered a bite. I hid the journal in a drawer under old bills and locked my bedroom door for the first time since I moved in. The next morning, the journal was on my pillow. Open, a new entry. "She thinks locks will help. That's cute." I did the reasonable thing. I told my neighbor Fareed, an older man who'd lived in the building for a decade and noticed everything. Every late-night visitor, every broken elevator, every argument through thin walls. He went pale when I described the journal. "There was a girl in 4B years ago," he said slowly. "She used to say the same thing. A book. Handwriting that wasn't hers but was hers. She moved out overnight. Left everything behind. Furniture, clothes, everything." "Where did she go?" Fareed looked at the floor. "Nobody knows. But her mail still comes here sometimes. 16 years later. I stopped sleeping in my bedroom. I started sleeping on the couch. Journal locked in my car 3 blocks away. In a parking garage with a keypad code only I knew. I told myself that distance was the same as safety. 3 blocks felt like an ocean. For 2 nights, nothing happened. I let myself believe it was over. That whatever had been leaving gifts and writing in the dark had lost interest or found someone else or simply run out of whatever it needed from me. I even slept with the lights off again. I remember thinking almost proudly that I'd outsmarted it. It didn't matter. On the 3rd night, I dreamed of walking, not falling, not being chased, just walking, calm and purposeful, down a long concrete corridor lit by flickering fluorescent tubes, the kind that hum before they die. In the dream, I knew exactly where I was going. I had a code memorized. I had a key in my hand. I never once felt afraid in the dream, and somehow that was worse than any nightmare I'd had before. 3 days later, I woke up on the couch. Not in it, on top of it. Fully dressed in the blue coat, shoes on, keys in my hand. The journal sat on the coffee table. I checked my phone. My location history showed a drive to the parking garage at 2:58 a.m., 3 minutes inside, a drive back, new entry. She tried to leave me in the car. I don't like being left. That was the first time I considered a horrifying possibility. Maybe there was no he at all. Maybe there was no stalker leaving gifts and writing in a stranger's hand. Maybe some other part of me was doing this, and it was getting bored of hiding. I needed to know if this had happened before. Really happened. Not just Fareed's fading memory of a rumor. I spent a weekend digging through old local news archives, missing person forms, the kind of dead internet corners where nobody scrolls anymore. I found her, the girl from 4B. 16 years ago, she'd posted on an old forum, the kind with a cracked layout and a handful of active users. Her final post, time-stamped 3:47 a.m., read like it had been typed by two different people arguing over the same keyboard. I don't think it's separate from me anymore. I think I'm losing the parts where it ends and I begin. She never posted again. I brought the journal to a psychiatrist. I didn't tell her everything, just enough to sound like an anxious woman with intrusive thoughts, not someone convinced her own body had a passenger. She suggested dissociative episodes, stress-induced. She prescribed something to help me sleep and asked me to keep a normal diary. Ironic, given the one already doing that job for me. I didn't tell her about Fareed or the girl from 4B or the 16 years of unclaimed mail. Some part of me was already protecting the thing that was hurting me. The same way you'd protect a secret you weren't ready to say out loud. I remember sitting in my car afterward for almost an hour, engine off, just staring at the prescription, wondering if the person picking it up at the pharmacy would even be me. That night, for the first time, I decided to fight back instead of run. I set up my phone on a tripod, pointed at my bed, recording the whole night. If something was going to happen, I wanted proof. For the psychiatrist, for Fareed, for myself. I barely slept. Every creak of the building, every settle of the walls, I convinced myself was the beginning of something. Around 1 a.m., I almost turned the camera off, almost gave up and told myself none of this was real. I didn't. I don't know why. Some instinct told me that tonight, of every night, mattered. I woke up at 6 a.m. to the sound of my own voice, already awake, already talking, in the next room. Calm, conversational, like she was catching up with an old friend. The footage showed me getting out of bed at 3:12 a.m. Not groggy, not confused, deliberate, like someone who had done this 100 times before. She didn't fumble in the dark. She didn't reach for a light switch. She walked to the desk, opened the drawer without hesitation, found the pen on the first try and began writing in the journal without pause, and looking directly at the camera the entire time, smiling in a way I have never smiled in a mirror. I didn't watch the rest of the footage. I couldn't. But the journal had a new entry that morning, and this one wasn't about me watching myself. This one was addressed to me directly, for the first time. You finally looked good. I've been so lonely being the only one who sees you clearly. Everyone else only sees the parts you let them see. I see all of it. That's what obsession really is. Not wanting someone, knowing them completely. I know you completely now. I packed a bag that morning. I was done being reasonable, done pretending sleep problems could explain any of this. I was going to my sister's, 3 states away. Journal left behind, phone left behind, blue coat left behind. Every object this thing had ever touched, abandoned in that apartment like a shed skin. I made it to the parking garage. My car was there, exactly where I'd left it. The journal was on the passenger seat. I hadn't put it there. I hadn't touched it in 4 days. I opened it with hands that weren't quite mine anymore, trembling in a rhythm I didn't recognize as my own fear. The final entry, still wet with fresh ink, read, "Don't worry. I'm not going to hurt her. I would never hurt myself. I just want to drive for a while. You can rest now. I'll wear the blue coat. I always did like blue." I don't remember starting the engine. I remember the road. I remember 3 states passing beneath the tires like they weighed nothing. I remember arriving somewhere I didn't recognize, in a coat I don't remember putting on, and a stranger on a porch waving at me like she'd been expecting me all along. The way you wave at someone you've written to for months. I'm writing this now in a new journal, a blank one. I bought it myself, I'm almost sure of that. If you're reading this, and you've ever found something small and unexplained waiting outside your door, a book, a note, a gift with no name on it, don't open it. And if you already have, check your handwriting. Check it carefully. Because right now, somewhere, in ink that isn't quite yours, something is writing about you. And it's almost done introducing itself.